Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 1 to 5 of chapter 3. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Jayasi chet karmanaste
Jayasi chet karmanaste
Mata buddhir janardana
Mata buddhir janardana
Tat kim karmani ghore mam
Tat kim karmani ghore mam
Niyojayasi keshava
Niyojayasi keshava
Vyamishreneva vakyena
Vyamishreneva vakyena
Buddhim mohayasiva me
Buddhim mohayasiva me
Tadekam vada nishchitya
Tadekam vada nishchitya
Yena shreyohamapnuyam
Yena shreyohamapnuyam
Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Shri Bhagavanuvacha
Lokesmin dvividha nishtha
Lokesmin dvividha nishtha
Pura prokta maya nagha
Pura prokta maya nagha
Jnana yogena sankhyanam
Jnana yogena sankhyanam
Karma yogena yoginam
Karma yogena yoginam
Na karmanam
Na karmanam
Naishkarmyam purushoshnute
Naishkarmyam purushoshnute
न च संन्यसनादेव
न च संन्यसनादेव
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
जातु तिष्ठत्यकर्मकृत्
जातु तिष्ठत्यकर्मकृत्
कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म
कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So we are doing the first verse of chapter 3, where Arjuna asks this very practical question: why should I act? Now, when he says Arjuna Uvacha, I was giving you the various dimensions of Arjuna Uvacha, and especially those related to your sadhana. That is, from that, what sadhana tips you can get so that you can practice and refine your sadhana. Now, one of the very significant implications of Arjuna Uvacha, that is the word Uvacha. Uvacha means speaking. Speech is one form of expression. Actually, in the scriptures, they always use one word to signify many things. Scriptures are always loaded with so many deeper aspects of life, so many deeper tips. So what is it that Uvacha basically represents? Uvacha means speaking. It is one kind of expression. So it is an example of the expression of one's personality. You need not restrict it to merely speaking. So Arjuna Uvacha means, literally it means Arjuna said, Arjuna spoke. But from a deeper sense, it means Arjuna expressed himself verbally. Now, verbal expression is one form of expression. But what you need to realize is that every second you are actually expressing yourself, either verbally or non-verbally, either through action or by keeping quiet, by avoiding action. Even when you don't speak, you are actually expressing yourself. See, in the entire first chapter, it was Arjuna who was speaking. He was so emotional, he was caught up with the negative emotions, and he never sought any guidance from Krishna. He went on giving various reasons why he should not fight. And Krishna just kept quiet. Krishna didn't speak a word. Now, many people think it is Arjuna who spoke and Krishna didn't speak. As I told you, speaking is only one form of expressing oneself. So if Arjuna's speech was conveying something. As far as we deeper sadhaks are concerned, Krishna's silence also conveyed something very important. When a person is not ready, there is no point in talking. Krishna was silently waiting for the surge of emotions within Arjuna to settle down a bit. He was giving him a lot of healing. He was transferring the energy to Arjuna, the higher Shakti, so that the healing of the emotions can happen. Only then he'll become ready for this wisdom. So in life, whether you speak, that is, you verbally say something, or whether you choose to be quiet, you are still expressing something. Whether you get into action or whether you withdraw from action, again it is a statement which you're making. It is an expression. So your entire life is full of nothing but expression. See, if you look around in nature, nature constantly expresses itself. If the flower blooms, it is one kind of expression. If the flower doesn't bloom, that is another kind of expression. If a person laughs, it is one kind of expression. If a person cries, it is another kind of expression. If a person sits with a straight face, that also means something. So expressions can be gross, expressions can be subtle. So when he says Arjuna Uvacha, he's talking about, symbolically, he's talking about the student expressing himself or herself. So when you gain this wisdom, what will happen is that all your expressions will start becoming very subtle and divine. They'll become very graceful. As we go along, we'll be seeing that it is not only what Krishna speaks, but what Arjuna speaks also will start becoming more deep. See, in the second chapter, first we take the first chapter. In the first chapter, whatever Arjuna spoke was very, very shallow. And then in the second chapter, when he asked the question about Chitta Prajna, that was a little more deep. Now he is getting into more depth. He is asking a practical question. See, when he asked how will a Chitta Prajna walk, talk and all that, that is actually irrelevant to his situation. He is standing in the battlefield. His opponents are ready to fight. Now he is standing there, and what should he ask? He should ask about his issue. What is the solution for my problem? I'm not able to handle my emotions. Instead of that, he is standing there and asking about who is a person of perfection, who is a Sthita Prajna, how will he walk, how will he talk. It's like, somebody's house is on fire. Now what should he, how should I extinguish this fire? This should be this should be the question. That is only the practical question. Instead, if the person asks, what is the difference between Atman and Brahman? What is the infinite? How to get connected to the infinite? Even though the question is very good per se, as far as that person's context is concerned, it is irrelevant. That was Arjuna's state in chapter 2. Now in chapter 3, he is becoming more grounded. He is understanding his levels. He is asking a question pertaining to his level. And he'll be starting from this, and slowly Krishna will be giving out the wisdom and taking Arjuna deeper and deeper into this wisdom so that he absorbs the whole thing fully. So the Bhagavad Gita even though it is called the Bhagavad Gita, is no doubt it is an expression of Bhagavan, Lord, that is the Supreme Lord Krishna. But it is not merely about Krishna speaking and giving this wisdom. It is also about Arjuna expressing himself and how Arjuna gets transformed. That is what is more relevant. See, when we talk of this ancient wisdom, the spiritual wisdom, the spiritual sadhana, all these things, they all may be wonderful, but what is the effect it has in your life? What kind of transformation takes place in your life? First within your personality and then in your external circumstances. That is what matters ultimately. You may be quoting the Bhagavad Gita, you may be talking very high philosophy, but as a person, are you getting transformed? Ultimately, that is what matters. So, just imagine if instead of this being a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, if it had merely been a set of principles which Vyasa had just given in a general way, now the whole impact goes away. See, here is a Jagat Guru, Bhagavan Shri Krishna, and here is Arjuna, who is a great warrior, but he is unable to face the challenge which is in front of him. He is unable to handle his emotions. Then he seeks help. Krishna gives him this wisdom, and that wisdom transforms Arjuna. This is the key. If the final point is not there, that is, if there is no transformation in Arjuna, then what is the use of this wisdom? So the relevance of this ancient wisdom is also embedded in these verses, in the entire Bhagavad Gita. Every now and then Arjuna keeps expressing himself. Actually, the very terminology, Bhagavad Gita, Gita means song. Bhagavat means a song of the Lord, the song of the Supreme Lord, the divine expression. So it is very symbolic. Bhagavad Gita is the expression of the infinite. Supreme Lord represents the infinite, formless reality. So when you truly use the yogic approach and absorb the energy behind the Bhagavad Gita, that is not merely the intellectual knowledge, but the energy, when you absorb that, all your expressions will start becoming very refined and graceful. You will become an instrument in the hands of the infinite. The infinite will start expressing itself through you. When your ego is prominent, it becomes a block. It doesn't allow the infinite energy to flow freely. But when you gain this wisdom and when you do your personal sadhana, the ego starts melting away. Then whatever your expressions are, Arjuna Uvacha, Uvacha means expression, as I told you. So all your expressions become a manifestation of the infinite. The infinite energy freely flows through you. That is when you have absorbed the Bhagavad Gita in the true sense. So Bhagavad Gita doesn't mean merely what Lord Krishna spoke to Arjuna. It is not that. When you absorb this energy, the infinite will start speaking through you. Every action of yours, every word which you utter, even whether you keep quiet, whatever it is that you do, They are all expressions only. They will all start becoming very refined and graceful. And when you become a Sthita Prajna, every expression of yours will become divine. You will become one with nature. You see the entire nature. It is an expression of divinity. Whether it is a flower blooming, whether it is a nightingale singing, whether it is you go and see the waterfalls, every expression, there is no ego there. The flower doesn't have any ego. The waterfalls does not have any ego. It is only the human being who has this ego, and therefore he is not able to express himself freely. He is not able to express whatever his original nature is, which is divine. The entire nature is nothing but the divine expression of the infinite. The human being has been given this choice, Purushartha. In Sanskrit language it is called Purushartha. Purushartha means your capacity to put an effort, the choice of action which you have. So human being has been given the choice. Now if you use that choice negatively, then you will get disconnected from nature. You will get disconnected from the infinite. You will just be fanning your ego. The ego will become very, very big within you. Thereafter, all your expressions will lack that refinement. You will become a source of disturbance to yourself and to others. So spirituality is about removing that ego so that you become one with nature. You become like a flower. You become like a nightingale. Thereafter, everything which you do becomes divine. See, we think puja means it has to be puja, there is worship, has to be done at a particular time, in a particular way. But actually, as you advance in spirituality, you will understand that puja is not restricted to any particular set of activities or at that particular time alone. Everything which you do should become a puja. Whether you're eating, whether you're sleeping, whether you're talking to someone, whether you're sitting quietly and contemplating, whatever it is that you're doing, every expression of yours should become divine. Your entire life will become one long worship. Every action, see, when we say action, that karma means action. But actually, the deeper meaning of action is expression. It is symbolic of all your expressions. So karma yoga means making all your expressions divine. It is said, no work is worship. You can read it, you can read that statement in a very shallow way and understand it just superficially. But if you go into the depth of that statement, work is worship is nothing but karma yoga. Yoga means being united with the infinite. Karma means acting, that is expressing. So expressing yourself in the background of being united with the infinite. What a magnificent state that is. You should learn to admire these things, these principles in a very liberal way. Because whatever you admire, you will slowly start absorbing and practicing. Haven't you noticed when a when a youngster starts admiring an actor, let us say, slowly, slowly he'll start behaving like that actor. Whatever dress the actor wears, he also wears. One actor or one actress wears a particular costume in a movie. Now, thousands and thousands of people buy the same color, same costume and the dress, and they also wear. Whomever you admire, you tend to absorb and start living that. That is whatever you admire in a person. So, if you just start liberally appreciating and admiring these principles, whether we talk of a Sthita Prajna, whether we talk of Arjuna Uvacha and then Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, whatever Krishna gives, the various principles, when you start appreciating and admiring these, slowly, slowly you will start living them. This is the law of life. Why is it that in the good old days there was this Gurukula system? Gurukula means, in a modern context, something equivalent to boarding school. Even though it is not the exact equivalent, something similar, where the master is there, his master and his family are living, and the students go and stay there for many years and learn from the master. So why was that system kept? When the students keep interacting with the master, slowly, slowly they will absorb this wisdom in a practical way, not merely theory, So they get into an awe, they start admiring the Guru, and then they absorb all the positive qualities. So, expressing yourself properly, expressing yourself in a refined way is a very, very important aspect of your sadhana. You see, whether you are relating to your family member or whether you are relating to your colleague in the office or your boss, whomever it is you are relating to, now what determines whether you will be successful there or not? It is your expression. Actually, what happens with the spiritual sadhanas, when your expressions become very subtle and divine, they gather so much of pran shakti, the power, And when your expressions are backed by the higher shakti, they start influencing others. Your personal magnetism increases. Your ability to influence others also increases. In the Prana Tattva Level 1 Empowerment course, we had several sessions on how to increase the personal magnetism, the Akarshana Shakti. Akarshana means the Shakti to attract whatever it is that you want. Now this empowerment course is available online. So you should make use of that and then practice those 12 meditations, the sadhana which were given. So when you practice them, slowly your aura will become very pure. Your Akarshana Shakti, personal magnetism will increase. So Arjuna Uvacha is very significant. It is not only here, if you go to the Upanishads also, the students ask the questions and the master answers. So we should not take it as a mere question answer session. Like many people say, oh, this is a Q&A between Krishna and Arjuna. That is also true. But it is not merely a student asking a question, now Krishna gives the answer, now student writes down all the points and then he goes away. It's not that. When the student is asking, he is expressing. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Vyasa shows how Arjuna's expressions slowly get refined and how he becomes a very powerful personality spiritually. So Arjuna Uvacha, Arjuna said. So when this dimension which I am giving you is something very unique and so powerful, So when you read Arjuna Uvacha, now you should just conceive your personality which is expressing itself in your life. Whether you are alone, see, whether you are all alone by yourself or whether you are interacting with people, you are constantly expressing. If you are talking, you are expressing. If you are keeping quiet, you are expressing. If you are thinking, you are expressing, because thought also is a form of energy only. If you are feeling, you are again expressing. If you are sitting and meditating, it is the most powerful expression, because a master who is always in a meditative state, he is expressing in the form of energy. The positive energy keeps radiating from him. When you are doing sadhana, you are expressing. If you avoid your sadhana, if you are lazy, there also you are expressing yourself. Depending on how you express yourself, you get the results in your life. So generally we are not even aware of our own expressions. See, if you take the whole day, I told you the yogis say that you generate around 64,000 thoughts. Now this is only one kind of expression. Then how much you speak, sometimes you keep quiet. If you see the entire day, you express yourself so much. Now how much are you aware? If you were just to close your eyes and recollect right from morning till night, what all did I do? What all did I speak? How did I speak? See, when I say what all did you speak, it's not merely the words, the tone, the emotion behind it. What were my gestures? What did I feel? What did I think? You will not remember anything. Why? Because there is no awareness. You are not aware of your own thoughts. You are not aware of your own emotions. When I say you are not aware of your emotions, I mean your deeper emotions. You are not aware of what you are speaking. Something you just say. Many a times people who speak something which is not proper, later on they regret. So what we are trying to do through the yogic approach, through the spiritual sadhana, is to fine-tune our expressions by increasing the awareness. So when we say Arjuna Uvacha, you become aware that Arjuna is now asking something. But it should not stop there. The yogic approach I have told you, you should now see how it is applicable to your life. What is the sadhana implication? The sadhana implication is you should start becoming aware of your own expressions. If you want, you can ask your spouse or ask your children, ask someone who is close to you, in case you are not clear. There is nothing wrong. See, the ego prevents you from putting in that effort to even do a proper self-analysis. So when you say Arjuna Uvacha, before we get into Jayasi Chet Karmanas, if Arjuna Uvacha means you become aware of your individual soul, the Jivatma, which is trying to express itself. See how powerful it is when you absorb this dimension. So Arjuna represents the Jivatma. Uvacha, Jivatma means you, the individual. Uvacha means all the expressions in the form of thoughts, emotions, speech, actions. The action means if you avoid action also. Speaking means if you keep silence also. The opposite also is included there. So all kinds of expressions. Your personality, the functioning of your personality. So Arjuna Uvacha means I'm here, I'm in this world. It's a long journey. Now forget about your past. Forget about what is going to happen tomorrow. Right now, Uvacha means it's right now in the present, So Arjuna Uvacha means I'm that individual who is expressing myself. The moment you bring that awareness, now it will become very interesting because your own thoughts, your own emotions, the way you're talking, the way you're expressing yourself, all these things will start, you will start becoming aware of them, and the correction will start happening automatically. See, whenever you become aware of something, then the correction happens and that activity starts getting purified. When I say correction, what I mean is the purification process will start happening. See, for example, if you are angry, now there will be no awareness. The anger will just cloud your mind and take you. For 1 second, if you just become aware, if you take a deep breath, this is what is happening. To that extent, you will find the force of that anger will automatically come down. Now, you may wonder, how is it coming down? It is because of the power of the awareness. Actually, when you keep on increasing this awareness, see, that is the real, whatever I am giving you now is a real, deep sadhana of Arjuna Vacha. So when your awareness goes on increasing, first you will become aware of your physical body, the gross expressions. Then you will start becoming aware of your subtle expressions like breathing. How is your breath? Just by becoming aware of your breath, you can actually become aware of your personality. Just by seeing how a person is breathing, you can say what kind of emotions he has, what kind of thoughts he is having. It's very interesting. And then you become aware of your emotions, your thoughts. And in deep meditation, a time would come where you will start becoming aware of the deep-rooted impressions, the karmas. That is the other deeper meaning of karma, the deep-rooted impressions. And when you become aware of them, they will start getting purified. It is objective awareness, not judgmental awareness, remember. Not saying, oh, I have this fault, what should I do? I am angry, I have this anger, I am this, I am that. Like that, if you start saying, then you're getting involved there. You're becoming judgmental. It is just passionless. Passionless means attachmentless, let us put it that way. Without getting attached, objectively, just becoming aware of all your expressions. Start off with gross expressions first. Then the Arjuna Uvacha sadhana can be deepened. It will become deep automatically. And when you go on deepening this awareness, slowly, You will become aware of all the subtler aspects. You will become aware of your own impressions, and then you will become one day aware of the infinite which you are. And at that point, Arjuna Uvacha will get transformed into Sri Bhagavan Uvacha within you. This whole transformation is within you. So today it is an individual who is expressing. But when you get to the level of Bhagavan Uvacha within yourself, the infinite will start expressing itself through you. Such a person is called a Mahatma. Mahatma means great soul, one who has purified himself or herself. All the great masters, the great rishis, the saints, they all reached that level. As a human being, you also can reach the same level. So don't consider Arjuna Uvacha as just Arjuna's asking some question. It is very deep. So, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana. If you consider knowledge superior to action, O Janardana, tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshav. Why are you asking me? Why are you engaging me in this terrible action? Why are you ordering me to do this terrible action? The word used is niyojayasi. It's a very strong word which Arjuna uses. Even though we have translated it as, why do you engage me? That's a correct translation only. Why do you engage me? Which means I don't want to fight. I don't want to do this action. It is you who is pushing me to act. Now, there is no meaning in what Arjuna is saying. Actually, Arjuna has no understanding of what his own personality is. That is a reflection of entire humanity. It is representative of entire humanity. You know everything else. You seem to know everything else, but you have no knowledge of your own self. Why are we saying that? See, Arjuna is basically a very active person. Arjuna is not a person who can keep quiet. He, being a very active person, he cannot restrain himself from activity. His nature was to be a Kshatriya. That's how he was made. He was called number one archer in the world, a great warrior who can defeat the opponent single-handedly. So much of power he had. Now, here he is talking as if he does not want to perform action and Krishna is forcing him to act. So because of the temporary emotion which came and clouded Arjuna's mind, he has lost clarity about what his swadharma is. Swadharma means what his nature is. Whenever your emotions cloud your mind, you will lose clarity. You will lose the self-understanding. So deep within, Arjuna actually wanted to fight this battle. That is why he has come there. See, 13 years they were in the forest. 12 years they were in the forest, and 13th year they were in incognito according to the conditions which they had agreed when Duryodhana had put. So all that they did in that 13 years is not that Arjuna was just simply sitting in the forest. He did a lot of tapas. Of course, Krishna was the one who gave him that suggestion, but he did a lot of tapas to gain the divine astras, the weapons from the gods and all that. So he was preparing himself for this inevitable war because Duryodhana had decided to be unrighteous. He didn't have any idea of changing. Krishna knew that. So chances were that this war was going to happen. It was inevitable. So all along for 13 years, quite a bit of time. Now Arjuna was only preparing himself for this moment. And it is not that he didn't know who was on the other side earlier. See, he's creating a big drama here, as if this is the first time he has come to know that he has to fight Bhishma, Drona, Duryodhana and all these people. For 13 years he has been preparing for this. All along he knew that these are the people whom he has to fight. Suddenly that emotion overpowered his mind, overwhelmed his personality, and he didn't know how to handle that, and that is why he feels, no, I don't want to fight. So Arjuna, when he makes the statement that I don't want to fight this battle, it means nothing. He is not grounded in reality. He has not understood his swadharma, his own nature. Temporarily, he has got disconnected from reality. Whereas Krishna didn't go by what Arjuna was saying verbally. He went by what Arjuna's nature was. He didn't encourage Arjuna to go away from the battlefield. When Arjuna said, I don't want to fight, now why is it that Krishna was telling him, no, for you, action is very important. Why? Because Arjuna was an active person and deep down he wanted to fight this battle. He wanted to become victorious. So what this shows is that a master always sees the deeper personality of the student. The student may not understand himself fully, but the master will understand the student from a deeper perspective. Many a times when a student approaches the master, he may ask something verbally, and the master it may look as if master may be not addressing the issue. He may be saying something else. The student feels, what is it? I am asking something and he is saying something else. This is not true. All these confusions will be there in the student's mind. But once you understand that a master looks at the deeper personality of the student, he is not seeing what is happening at the surface level. He always sees what is happening at the deeper level of a student's personality, and he gives guidance accordingly. That is why it is said the best approach when a student can have when he approaches a master is not to try to hide anything, because there is nothing to hide. If at all a student tries to hide, it will only be through certain external expressions. But when a master can see through and see what is happening at the deeper level, it is better to drop all the defenses. That is true surrender. Surrender is not necessarily simply bowing down externally. That is also a part of, that is a natural expression of devotion and surrender. But people restrict their devotion only to external expressions. No. At the deeper level, what is happening? That is the question. So here, Arjuna has no clue of what is happening within himself. At the deeper level, what is happening in his mind. Krishna is able to see through that. That is why whatever Arjuna says, now Krishna is not, we'll be seeing that. Krishna is not bothered about the words which Arjuna uses to express himself and all that. He only sees, this is the real issue which is at the deeper level, and the solution is this. He goes on hammering the truth till Arjuna becomes subtle and begins to understand what Krishna says and starts absorbing that. So a master is not there to please the student. Many a times the student feels what the master says is wrong. These are all common blocks, which the ego puts. Now, if what the master is saying is wrong and what the student is feeling is right, then why should the student go to the master? See, it is Arjuna who asked Krishna for guidance, and now he feels what Krishna is saying is wrong. This is how the ego plays tricks. Why this analysis will be very useful to you is that when you become aware of all these tricks played by the ego and your own mind, then in case they happen to you, you will be in a position to quickly come out of them, because all these factors will keep slowing down your progress unnecessarily. So the faster you come out of these things, you can start progressing towards your ultimate goal. That is the whole idea. So he says, niyojayasi. Niyojya means ordering, forcing. A master never forces. See, why Arjuna, there's another reason why Arjuna is feeling that Krishna is forcing. See, Krishna being a true master, now he is talking from his experience. So every master is always emphatic when it comes to dissemination of this wisdom, because everything which a master says, it is coming from the depth of his experience. So the words will be very powerful. It will have a very powerful impact. They'll come and hit you. It is not about shouting or not shouting. We are not talking of the volume of the voice. We are talking of the power which it has, the power to influence, So sometimes the master is very emphatic. Sometimes the master may talk in a soft way, but even when he talks in a soft way, the words will come and hit the mind so powerfully. So Krishna being a master, his very expression was very influential. It was causing a lot of vibrations in others. Impactful. His personality was very impactful. So when Krishna gave out statements to Arjuna, it was hitting Arjuna, because Arjuna wanted to escape and Krishna was trying to tell him that is not the way. Since Arjuna asked his advice, he said, no, you are taking the wrong path. But it's not a mere bookish knowledge, it is his experience. So from the highest standpoint, when Krishna talks, whatever he says was hitting, whatever he says is hitting Arjuna so powerfully, and therefore he feels that Krishna is forcing him. The statements of a master are very forceful, very impactful, but a master will never force. See, there is a difference between the words of a master being forceful. Forceful means strong and transforming, and a master forcing a student. They are two different things. So every student goes through these phases in the spiritual development. When a student approaches a master and takes guidance and he tries to practice, now the ego will try to push the student in different directions. If he asks the master for guidance, he is going to give out this wisdom in a very forceful way, because that is what will bring the student back on track. Sometimes the ego can again take the student for a spin, and he may start thinking, why is he trying to force me? A master is 100% detached. He will do whatever he has to do, but at the same time, he is 100% detached. Remember that. If the student surrenders, the master is going to guide. If the student does not surrender, the master will just keep quiet. He has no personal axe to grind, no personal motives. So, why do you engage Niyojayasi? So, there is a very deep sadhana tip which he is giving. Whenever a student feels that the master is trying to force me, supposing a student gets such a thought, immediately he should understand that the master is not trying to force. See, I am unwilling to change. Therefore, a forceful advice, an impactful advice is being felt by me in a wrong way, as if the other person is trying to force me. And who is that other person? It is a person who is one with the infinite, Just for argument's sake, even if Krishna was trying to force Arjuna, now it will only be for Arjuna's good, because Krishna is one with the infinite. But anyway, that forcing is never a part of spirituality. So there's a difference between forcing and being forceful, being impactful. So you should know that difference. So when, you will also be leading at least one or two people in your life. You should do sadhana and make your personality, make all your expressions very forceful and impactful. But you should never force others. You should not be behind others, always, sitting on their shoulders. It will become a burden. Later on, he'll be saying that how should a wise person function. Very interesting. He says, a wise person should not go and unsettle the minds of the ignorant. Just because you know something, you should not try to offload it on others. Instead, he should make all his actions attractive and inspire others to act. Very beautiful tip. These tips are coming in this chapter, in chapter 3. So as we go along, we'll see that. So why do you engage me? That itself is wrong. Krishna is not trying to force him, not trying to order him to do anything, but he is giving a very powerful message. Very, very impactful, powerful advice. Because Arjuna sought his advice. So why do you engage me in this terrible action, Ghora Karma? I told you, no action is per se terrible or not terrible. So it is a complete misunderstanding which Arjuna has. O Keshava. So last week I was just telling you why he is using two words, two names, Janardana and then Keshava. So Keshava means killer of a particular demon called Keshi. Janardana is generally translated as protector of people. So Arjuna is very confused. His subconscious mind is confused. Are you a good person or are you a bad person? Are you a killer or are you a protector? That is a reflection of the doubt which Arjuna has. See, even though Arjuna has started the process of surrender in the second chapter, it is not yet complete. In the next verse, which we will be seeing now, he will, the statements which he makes will further reflect his confusions in the subconscious mind. Very interesting. Actually, the word Janardana in general means protector of people, but if you split it up and see, Jana means people, Ardana means suffering. causing suffering. Janardana means one who causes suffering to people. That is why Arjuna is using that word. Why are you causing suffering to me, he says. But the deeper meaning of Janardana is the supreme God or that law which causes suffering to anyone when that person deviates from the right path. That is the meaning. So Arjuna does not understand the deeper meaning. So even when a misfortune happens to a person, it is not a punishment. It is a correction. In the Srimad Bhagavatam actually it is explained very clearly, where Lord Vishnu, he says, whenever a person is on the right path, I shower him with so many positive things. Whenever a person goes on the wrong path, means acts against his or her conscience, then what do? He doesn't say I punish that person. He says I correct that person by giving the knocks and shocks, by making the person feel a lot of stress in the mind, so that these are the factors which will force the person to get back on the right track. That is why he is called Janardana. It's a very powerful name, Just these names, Janardana, Keshava, Krishna, all these names are so powerful. And when you understand the sadhana implication, it is really life transforming. So, O Janardana, O Keshava, that shows the judgmental attitude which Arjuna has at the deeper level. See, when a student starts on this spiritual journey, now no student is perfect. As I told you, if you are 100% perfect student, you already become a master. You become a Sita Prajna. Then you are no longer a student. So there are a lot of imperfections which start surfacing from within. Now in the yogic approach, we don't criticize or judge any student. Instead, as and when the imperfections come out, we learn to handle them. That is why it is important for you to be aware of these things which are happening within you. And so beautifully said, even though Krishna is saying, oh Janardana, oh Keshava, different names, it looks as if he is praising Krishna at the external level. But at the internal level, he is going through this conflict. How do you express this? A person who's expressing himself in one way, but who is going through a lot of conflict at the deeper level. How do you picturize that? How do you put it in words? Very difficult. But Vyasa has done it so beautifully with the choice of these two names. Of all the names, Arjuna chooses Janardana and Keshava. Keshava means killer of the demon. Janardana means one who causes suffering to people when they go in the wrong direction. So one who causes suffering and one who kills. And even in the long run, if this means protection, I am confused. Are you really trying to protect, or are you a killer? Are you a good person or are you a bad person? So the conflict which a human being goes through at the deeper level is so beautifully explained here by choosing these two names, O Janardana, O Keshava. It's a genius, the work of a genius, So psychology means study of psyche. Psyche means the mind. In the Sanskrit language, it is called Mano Tattva, the essence of the mind. What is the essence of the mind? So it is not merely studying the conscious mind. Real psychology is studying what is happening at the subconscious level. And then according to the yogic principle, there are many more layers of the mind, the deeper layers of the mind. So studying all the layers of the mind and changing oneself, causing the purification at the deepest layer of the mind. Once the deepest layer of the mind is influenced and purified, then whatever change happens to you will become permanent. If you bring about a purification merely at the conscious level, you will change for a while, again you will go back to the old ways. If it is from the next layer of the mind, the change will continue for a little more time, but again you will go back to the old ways. So depending on how deep your purification is, to that extent your change will be effective. And if you purify your mind from the deepest layer, your external change, transformation will become permanent. That is why they say that once you gain this wisdom, there is no fear of falling. Means once you gain the wisdom fully from the deepest level, when you get purified, then you can never ever fall, because it's a permanent change. That is why another name for Krishna is Achyuta, one who has never fallen. It's very powerful. So Arjuna said, if you consider knowledge superior to action, O Janardana, then why do you engage me in this terrible action, O Keshava? So as a sadhak, do this sadhana, do your sadhana diligently. Every Sunday gain this wisdom, do your Yoga Sankirtan sadhana and keep increasing your awareness. And as your awareness increases, you will begin to see what is happening at the deeper layers of your mind, the various conflicts which are all hidden within yourself. Today you are unable to see all those because you're so caught up at the external level, the superficial layer of the mind. So when you start seeing that inner conflict, that is when the real purification happens. Your sadhana will also become more intense. On one hand, Arjuna says, "Oh Krishna, guide me, I want your advice." And when the advice is given, Arjuna is saying, "Why are you forcing me?" See the conflict. Arjuna is unable to see that conflict. So here, it is a great opportunity for us to study that. Okay? So now we'll go to verse number 2. Vyamishrenev vakyena buddhim mohayasiva me tadekam vada nishchitya yena shreyohamapnuyam. Vyamishrena means intermixed statements. Vyamishra means opposite statements, confusing statements actually. So with intermixed statements, iva, vyamishreneva, vyamishrena iva. When you join that, it is vyamishreneva. So as it were, iva means apparently, as it were. Vakyena means statements. So with intermixed statements, as it were, buddhim mohayasivami. Me means my buddhim, my intellect. You are mohayasi means you are confusing. Again he says iva, mohayasi iva, mohayasi iva. You are seemingly confusing my understanding. So with intermixed statements as it were, you are seemingly, it looks as if you are confusing my buddhi, my intellect, my understanding. Tadekam vada nishchitya. Tat ekam, one thing. Vada, tell me one thing, he says. Why are you telling me so many things, Krishna? Tadekam vada, just tell me one thing. Nishchitya. Nishchitya means decisively. Be sure about what you want to say and tell me just that one thing. Yena shreyo hamapnuyam. Yena shreyaha aham apnuyan. Aham apnuyan means that way by which I may obtain yena aham apnuyan. What shreyaha? The best, the highest. So tell me one thing decisively by which I may obtain the highest. It looks as if Arjuna is a guru and he is only ordering Krishna, tell me one thing and all. He says that, But he is projecting his mind and he is thinking, no, Krishna is trying to force him. From the, before we go into the depth of this verse, just by reading the translation, what do you understand? With intermixed statements as it were, confusing statements, You are seemingly confusing my understanding. So Arjuna is saying Krishna is the cause for his confusion. Without realizing that it was he who was confused. And in order to resolve the confusion only, he has gone to Krishna. So how can Krishna be the cause for his confusion? And he feels Krishna is saying intermixed statements, means contradictory statements, Vyamishra means, one hand you say this is black and the next you say this is white. So how do they both cannot go together? That's what Arjuna feels. And then he says, tell me decisively. He feels that Krishna is not decisive. In Tamil we use a terminology, vara vara kora kora means you're not being it's slippery. You're not being clear and precise. Can you imagine? See, just visualize a scene where Krishna is the greatest guru, the Jagat Guru. He was called the Jagat Guru. He was an avatar standing there, and Arjuna is trying to tell him, Krishna, you are not being decisive. Now you decide on one thing, and then you tell me in a simple way, what should I do? So by that I should be able to achieve the highest. Why aren't you deciding? Why aren't you being clear? Why are you confusing? Isn't it very absurd? But this is what the untrained mind, the human mind is capable of. Even if God were to stand before you, your mind will judge God in an impure way only. Because the mind has the tendency to project whatever is there from there within on the external world. So Sakshat Sri Bhagavan was standing in front of him, and he feels Krishna is confusing him. The word Nishchitya is very amusing when you see this objective. He says you're not deciding one thing, Krishna. It's almost, he's telling Krishna, Krishna, your problem is you're unable to decide. Let me help you now by asking questions. That is the tone in which, that is the energy which we get from this verse, Many a times when a student approaches a master, he explains the problem, and then the master sees through and gives a solution. The student feels the master has not understood my problem properly. So he tries to explain to him, no, sir, what I meant was this, what I meant was that. All the meanings are known to him. That is why he is standing there and he is giving guidance. It is Arjuna who is not decisive. If Arjuna had been decisive, either he will stand there and fight, or he'll say he'll go away. He wouldn't have come there at all. But what Arjuna is doing is that I want to fight, and he came to the battlefield. And then when he came to the battlefield, he says, I don't want to fight, and he's just sitting there. It is he who is not being decisive because of the pressure of the emotions. But he's projecting that whole weakness onto Lord Krishna. And this is like a game for Krishna. Krishna doesn't get offended by this. He doesn't get affected by this. Actually, when he starts off his discourse in the second chapter, you remember where Vyasa described, with a smile Krishna started talking. See, that shows Krishna's greatness, that shows how objective he was. Here was Arjuna who is caught up in a problem, who genuinely requires help, but he is turning around and trying to tell Krishna that you should advise me properly, you are confusing and all that. And yet Krishna, you will find the third chapter, he doesn't criticize Arjuna and say, what do you know, Arjuna? Just keep quiet, listen to him. He doesn't say all that. He answers Arjuna in a very patient way. That is how these great masters are. The holy Siddhas, the holy saints, they have infinite patience. Whatever be the imperfections of the student, the master accepts the student 100%. And everything which the master says and does, it is all for the benefit of the student only. Sometimes the master may be very gentle, sometimes the master may be very stern. Sometimes the master may put the student through some tough work. He may make the student do some difficult, to complete some difficult task. Not that he wants the student to suffer, but that may be required for the student to go to the next level. In that process, many a times it can happen that the student may misunderstand the master. But the true master is not bothered about all that. Doesn't matter whether the student understands me or misunderstands me. That's how these great masters think, But my duty is to help a person who has sought help. You have no idea to what extent a true guru can go to help a student. A true master absorbs all the imperfections which a student throws at him, and yet he keeps helping with infinite compassion, with infinite love, unconditional love. It takes a long while for a student to get a hang of what a master truly is. His emotions are like gold. His thinking is so precise. On one hand, Arjuna says, you are seemingly confusing me. as if Krishna is putting it as if Krishna is standing there just to confuse Arjuna. He is doubting his motives, emotions. Then he says, tell me decisively one thing. He is doubting Krishna's clarity. See how much of the doubting Arjuna has in the deeper mind. He is putting it in a very humble way. Again, we can't go by the external expression, but what is happening at the deeper level is what is very important. So, when a student goes to a master, there are so many negative factors, Now, a master absorbs all that gracefully. As we go along, it is interesting. There is one portion where Arjuna says, I disagree with you, Krishna. This is impossible. What you're saying is impossible. The mind cannot be controlled, he says. But Krishna, with infinite love and patience, he says, whatever you're saying is right, Arjuna, undoubtedly, but this is possible. He understands that the ego is manifesting very strongly. So instead of fighting with that ego, he agrees with Arjuna first and then slowly takes him to the next level of understanding. Why should he do all that? What is he gaining by all that? It is only for the benefit of Arjuna. Arjuna is unable to face the situation. So a master can go to any extent in order to help the student, provided the student surrenders. That is not a condition. It is just that only if a student surrenders, he will be able to receive that infinite grace. That's all. When the vessel is empty only, it can be filled. It is a law of life. There are many, many instances in the Puranic stories and all that which have been given. The emotions of the master are so pure. See, just imagine the way Krishna is looking at Arjuna. He is looking at Arjuna with infinite love. He is thinking, how can I get Arjuna out of this problem which he has gotten into? Arjuna has gotten into an emotional mess. Krishna's only aim is, how shall I uplift his consciousness? How shall I bring Arjuna back to normalcy? That is his only motive. In that process, these statements can be taken as an insult, but Krishna will not take it as an insult because he has no ego. He will absorb all these things which Arjuna is throwing to him, and yet he continues to help him. He doesn't stop his effort to help him. Sometimes he keeps quiet, he withdraws himself. That is also to help Arjuna only. So when you begin to understand this, you develop so much of gratitude to all these great masters. We always, when we do the sadhana, I say, offer your gratitude to all the great masters. See, we should recognize that. Gratitude is a very important aspect of the spiritual path. Just imagine, otherwise, Arjuna is not understanding. Why should Krishna now waste his time and energy in advising Arjuna? And that took, he's saying, you are confusing me. Krishna has no other work, is it? Standing in the middle of the battlefield, and he's trying to confuse Arjuna. See how much of delusion the mind can get into. That is what that is the overall message which we get from these two verses. We have to be very careful. That is why devotion surrender is devotion and surrender are the qualities which can save the student, which can protect the student from getting into the delusions caused by the ego. Okay, we'll stop with that today. We'll go into more depth. We'll penetrate this verse next session. So now we'll do the Nididhyasana meditation. Sit in a relaxed way. Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. With every breath, absorb the divine vibrations. I withdraw my consciousness deep within myself. I am not this body. I am not this mind. I am not this intellect. I am the Supreme Infinite Self. the purpose of my sadhana is to refine my expressions, I choose to be a sincere sadhak. I will go on doing my sadhana diligently with full awareness till my entire personality is purified. My ultimate purpose is to become one with the infinite. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes. Rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. We had a very deep session today. I had given you a subtle principle of Arjuna Uvacha today, the refinement of one's expressions. Reflect on that, because if you're able to absorb that point, it will bring about very, very subtle changes within you. People will start noticing the difference. See, as your personality becomes more refined, your expressions will become very graceful, and that will cause a very positive effect on the people around you. When your expressions are very gross, they cause a kind of disturbance, to others. So reflect on these points and absorb them, see how you can practice them in your life. That is your work. When you attend these Sunday sessions, 50% of work is done from this side. This wisdom is given to you. But the remaining 50% of work you need to do. That is to apply these principles in your life. Then only the picture will become complete. Okay? So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next session. Hari Om.